I'm Ken Bouvier from the New Orleans area. Presently, I'm the fire chief, executive chief officer, and paramedic at West Wego Fire Department.
All right. And for those of you who have never heard of him, he's a celebrity in EMS. And so I'm really honored to have him here on the
I don't know
podcast.
about celebrity. I have 50 years of experience in EMS. I started when I was 18 at the volunteer fire department in West Wego. I went on to be a career fire chief for 37 years. And where I worked at, people just wasn't getting hurt. So I worked part-time at New Orleans EMS. I worked there 26 years part-time. When I retired from my fire department job, I became the chief of operations at New Orleans for another 7 years. So I left there with 33 years at New Orleans. So I've seen a lot at New Orleans.
And you were the chief. Were you chief when Katrina hit?
I was the chief of operations right after Katrina hit. Before that, I was a member of the administrative team, and I wasn't at New Orleans when Katrina passed. I was on my fire department job.
Okay.
But 3 days later, after the hurricane passed and the levees broke, Monsanto, who's a chemical company where I was the fire chief, Monsanto said, if you want to go to New Orleans, we'll pay you and loan you to New Orleans. And I didn't go back to Monsanto until May of 2006. So I stayed in New Orleans for 8 months volunteering at EMS because I couldn't be paid in both places.
Wow.
But Monsanto, a great company to work for, they paid my salary while I worked at New Orleans EMS.
Wow.
And I was in charge of all of the ambulances after I arrived there. To allow the director and the EMS deputy director to do more administrative stuff, I got tapped in to make sure the trucks were running cars.
Wow. And we've seen you, I think, on Night Watch. Is that right? You
Yes.
had some.
My career ended as the chief of operations. I had the help of picking the crew for Night Watch. And then I wasn't supposed to be on the show, but I stumbled on one night on a hazmat call. And after that, the rest is history. They wanted me on some shows. So I was on several shows, but really the TV show was about the men and women of New Orleans EMS and the exciting job they do and the professionalism that they do it with.
Yeah. Well, and if you're listening online, you can't see it, but he is just a gem. Like the light radiates off him. And so anyway, thank you. If somebody wants to go into supervisory, and the thing about EMS is that we pretty much throw everybody in the deep end, right? Welcome to day one of being a paramedic. Not much training sometimes. We've gotten better at it. But it's even worse, I think, when they go to paramedic to leadership. We don't usually give them any sort of training. So what advice do you have for a new supervisor or somebody who wants to be a leader?
Yeah, just because you're a good paramedic doesn't mean you're going to be the great supervisor. It's just like education. Just because you're a great paramedic doesn't make you an instructor. So if you're planning to go into a leadership mode, you probably need to consider taking some classes at maybe the local university or maybe online courses in leadership. But I think the key to being a good leader is to be trustworthy and to hold people accountable. And always remember and never forget that this job is about the patient. So if you're a supervisor, leader, manager, sitting in your office at the EMS headquarters and a call comes out and there's no units available, you should get up from your desk and go take that call. If you're not taking that call, there's no reason to have a manager. It's that simple. It's about the patient. And I think trustworthy is one thing. Be smart, be knowledgeable, never stop learning yourself. Go to classes whenever you have the opportunity to, and read. I mean, we have so much offered to us. You just got to take advantage of reading it. I fly a lot. I travel to conferences, but on the airplane, I'm constantly reading something about what's going on somewhere. Controversies in EMS, new future products. I'm reading something all the time.
What are the top three nonfiction books you would recommend?
I don't know any books that are out there for EMS that I'd recommend, but I would tell you that anything that's about sexual harassment in the workplace or any kind of leadership books like that, I'd make sure that I'd try to read up on those because that's a lot of the job of a supervisor is. The EMS part is easy. It's all of the drama that comes with this profession. People are going to say one thing because something didn't go their way. Now they're mad and they got to bring all kind of false accusations and stuff. You got to be able to handle that. I've learned being a fire chief that being the fire part, I already know it. and I'm pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But everyday problems that come from the house could be a family problem, could be a person that suffered from PTSD, could be a person that never got over a bad call they had. Just recently, a young lady contacted me. She doesn't work for me, but she said she couldn't go to her boss because her boss is like a buffoon. She has no trust in her boss.
Wow.
So she comes to me and she says, Chief, I know if I'm talking to you, you're going to listen to me. She went through an accelerated 7-week EMT class.
Oof.
One of the first calls she goes on is a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The guy took the gun, put it in his bout, and pulled the trigger. She had never seen anything like it. She got the job by looking on the online classifieds. They were saying become an EMT at 7 weeks. She had no earthly idea what she was going to go to. She thought it was just going to be picking up people, bring them from one hospital to the other, or from their home to the hospital. I don't think she ever thought that she was going through some tragic. And she came and talked to me, and the outcome was I sent her on to further treatment because she needed to talk to somebody more about it.
Yeah. How do we help prepare EMTs and paramedics for that reality?
Starts with the instructors. The instructors have to know that young people today are shopping online for a job.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't come up like, maybe I became a fireman because my family were firemen, but my family were paramedics. But these kids today, and young adults today, they're looking online, they see a job or opportunity, and they take it, have no idea what the job consists of.
You also have done quite well, I think, on the speaking circuit. You've traveled all along EMS conferences, fire conferences.
Sure.
If somebody wants to start getting into that, how do they do that?
I lucked out. I was a volunteer fireman, and I had 6 years on the job, and I had already been to 3 major disasters. I went to the ferry that got hit by a ship in New Orleans, 77 fatalities. The following year, I went to the Green Elevator explosion, 33 fatalities.
Wow.
And just 1982, I went to the Pan Am crash in New Orleans, 154 fatalities. So in my first 6 years, I'd seen over 200 fatalities. And then I was asked to go to a conference and speak. And I spoke about those 3 disasters, and the rest is history after that. I kept getting invited to go places. And I'm the guy that used to do tricks of the trade where I would bring a suitcase full of EMS junk, and I would show you how to take vital signs a certain way, how to make a complete lamp out of a flashlight, and how to start IVs easily and stuff. So I was like the MacGyver of EMS, and it was called Tricks of the Trade. I even produced a video training tape, and it's sold like the Ramco products. For $19.99, you could get a VHS tape, and it was a 1-hour show of me showing EMS tricks and trades.
I love that. Was that a feature ever in EMS gyms?
Yeah, I was a writer in gyms for a while. It was called Tricks of the Trade. Every month I would do a column.
I remember reading that.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
That was a lot. Thanks. You're making me feel old.
Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody who's just starting out in EMS and they're going to go interview for a job?
Well, when you go, be professional on your appearance. That's the first thing. You know, a lot of people say appearance doesn't save lives. It doesn't, but it sure makes for a more comfortable scene when you get there. People are calling you in a time of crisis, and they're not going to take you serious if you show up looking kind of like the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, they might be clean shaven, and you don't have to be, but they may be clean shaven and all tightened up, and then you show up and you got your hat on backwards, your uniform's rumpled and dirty, your boots are nasty, you got nose rings and tongue rings and ear rings and ring rings, and you know, you don't look like the norm, and you don't always have to be the norm, but if you look weird, they're gonna wonder how smart are you. And what people want, they want a quick response. They want a quick on-scene time. They want a knowledgeable paramedic EMT. They want a good ride to the hospital. And they only want what you would want for your own family or yourself.
Yeah, that's great advice. Zig Ziglar used to say it best: get up, dress up, go up. And he would say, you know, you wake up and you dress up. You should, like you said, you don't have to shave, but I think it does help in the EMS. A lot of agencies require it. but you want to take care of yourself, because I know when I got injured one time and I couldn't take care of myself, it's really easy to spiral when you don't have a sense of purpose and when you stop taking care of yourself.
Sure, I've been the same for 50 years. I still wear the neatest uniform of most people.
For sure.
And I don't get any disrespect whatsoever. No matter where I go, people respect me because I am. I believe you should dress the part, and I do.
Yeah. And for those who may be listening online, his uniform right now is spotless. White uniform. He's got some things on the epaulets, but he's got all of his badges, American flag. It looks really great. So we'll put a picture of you up on that.
I'm proud to say that I've given 50 years back to my community. You know, it's almost like what President John F. Kennedy said. It's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Well, I look at it the same way at EMS. I want to help that person in their time of need. They're calling us at their worst time. Dr. Norman McSwain, a mentor of mine from New Orleans, since has passed, but Dr. McSwain said, rarely do we have an opportunity to save a life, but every day we'll have the opportunity to help someone who can't help themselves. And that's what we do most of the time. We're helping people that can't help themselves.
Yeah, that's a great line. Dr. McSwain was really instrumental in EMS.
Dr. McSwain gave basic EMTs a chance to learn medicine. I can remember brand new, young, he had a chest cracked open in the trauma center, and he put my hand inside this person's chest and wanted me to hold something. And it's like my knees were knocking, but I'll never forget that. And I think every basic EMT can get a chance like that to work with a physician who has belief in what we can do. They'll have a better outcome as a medic. And, you know, it was the fire chiefs in Los Angeles, California, who said that firemen would never be able to give medicine in the field, that it was going to be a problem. And he said, the word EMS is in the word problem. If you spell problem, PROBLEMS, and he said that they knew it was going to be problems because it's written in the word. But we shall prove them wrong. We showed them that paramedics and fire paramedics can deliver medicine in the field, and we saved lots of lives because of it.
For sure. Well, this has been absolutely great. I would like to invite you for a longer podcast if you're willing. We can talk about that offline. But Chief Ken Bouvier, thank you so much for stopping by and being on our podcast today.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having me.